Muted.
We'll go through the whole system, more or less from start to finish. And what I will let you know is it will be in depth and I will cover everything, but there is a lot to learn. So I just want to make you aware that we do run sessions similar to this on a 2-weekly basis. On a Tuesday and a Thursday, there's usually 3 sessions a day. And what they cover is just one area of the system. So if you want to look at something in more detail, if you look at on our website, which I'll give you the details of later, you'll be able to register for those. They're all free of charge. Okay, this is our demo site, which is Demo Hotel 3. You will all have your own hotel site. And you should all by now have your login details as well. If you haven't, or you're unsure of what your password is, you can click here to get a password reminder. Which also on the emails that are sent with any new inquiries, there's also a click here link there that says send me my password, and the agents can also send that to you if you're still having issues. Okay, this is the home tab. So we're going to take our time working through the management tab today. What we also have is our new tab, which is called My Account, and that just tells you what agreement you have and your return on investment. And it'll do that year on year as you cover and you continue with ABC Connection. The next section here is the knowledge base. So if you are having issues, we have a lot of help guides. As you can see, a couple of them are being rewritten, so that's why they're not here yet. But you can see the ones that are not grayed out. These open in a separate screen as a PDF, and will take you through all areas of the system. And if you're still struggling, you can also submit a help desk ticket. Again, that opens in a separate tab, and that comes through our support team. Our support team are available Monday to Friday between 9 and 5:30, and the response time is usually quite quick. I wouldn't expect you to be waiting more than about 40 minutes for a response. You've also got the settings up here. Help if you'd missed the knowledge base, but clicking help here will take you to the knowledge base and you can log out. We're going to work through the management tab. The first one we're going to look at is the new business value. Now this bar here, you want that to be 0 for as much of the time as you can. And the reason you want it to be 0 is because this is the outstanding business you have yet to respond to. Obviously this is a demo hotel, which is why it's so high. This is split into tabs. So first of all, you'll see all, and that's all the request types. You'll see what type of request it is, the reference number, the estimated value, and then once you've responded, the value you've responded with, when the response is required by, who the agent is, and the current status of the booking, and you'll see what the statuses are here. You can also filter if you're looking for a particular reference number or for something by a particular agent or a status. You'll also be able to flick through the tabs if you just want to look at meetings or just look at groups, for example. And then when you're ready, you click here to respond. We're going to take you through a meeting today because that covers meetings and groups. They're all more or less exactly the same. The only one that's slightly different is an RFP, but it is quite self-explanatory. So first tab you'll get is the introduction tab. It'll tell you here if your rates must be inclusive or exclusive of VAT, who the client is, who it was sent by, and who the project owner is. You'll get the event title and the on-site contact, the location of the event, and then you'll get the actual details of the event. If the client has requested any policy documents or has sent you any additional documents to support the request, they will all appear here. If the requested policy documents, once we go through content in a little while, you'll notice that you'll be able to upload those. You'll pre-upload those, so all you'd have to do if they asked for them was check that they were correct and they didn't need updating. The next tab is the meeting rates tab. And this will be split into different sections. Only the sections that something has been requested on will show. So if no accommodation was requested, there will be no accommodation there. So each section will have its own requirement. So this is a meeting room for boardroom for 20 on the 4th of April from 9 till 5. Yes, you want to respond to the above requirement. You select the meeting room. And again, as you'll see as we go through the content, you can preload all this information to make it easy. So you select from the drop-down the room you want to offer. And then the only thing you'll have to enter each and every time is minimum numbers, because as we are aware, it's not necessarily the minimum numbers for the room each and every time. You can use these room details. If you haven't yet loaded your content, when you're responding to an inquiry and you enter the details, you can save the room details for reuse. So it means that it updates your content as you go along for that section. So it says your meeting room for 20. You select the rate type that you're looking for. So here we're looking for a day delegate rate. And then here you type in what the rate includes. Again, we have a default section which we'll cover later, where you can use save text. And you can preempt what's going to be included in the rate and preempt that so you don't have to type it in each and every time. You select the date that you're offering, and if you're holding that on the first, second or joint first option, there is an option to say that it's not held. Every one of our agents wants you to provisionally hold the space. If you don't provisionally hold the space, even though you're responding with rates, you're less likely to be put forward on the proposal, because they're not going to want to put you forward for you then not to be available when the client makes a decision. So always try and provisionally hold the space. You can say when you're holding the space until, or you can just leave it as an open-ended date. This section will all pre-populate with either the preferred commission rate from the agent or the agreed commission rate that they have with your group. And they say the percentage, if it's paid on the net or the gross, and if it's inclusive or exclusive of VAT. Now you can overtype this. If you're offering a higher commission for this booking or something, you can overtype it. Then you enter the standard or rack rate for the event, and then the offered rate that you're offering. See, it will automatically pre-populate the rest for you. You can add more availability at different rates. If you wanted to offer a 24-hour rate and a day delegate rate, you would add another room availability or rate here, and that would just pre-populate this box again for you. The next tab is the accommodation tab, and again you're looking for 10 rooms and a bed and breakfast rate. Again, you can use save text. If you only have one save text option for that rate type, it will automatically pre-populate there. You click if you're holding the space and the offered rate, and again you'll be able to add more availability. If at this stage you got a telephone call and you needed to come out of the system to deal with something, you can save as draft so that you can continue where you left off without missing anything and not having to start again. So then we get to other requirements. So we're looking for 3 servings of tea and coffee. So we're looking for refreshments, and the day delegate rate includes 3. Use save text, tea, coffee, biscuits. Again, because this is a day delegate rate, you still need to complete what's included in the other details section for catering. But what you can do is you can just click here to say this requirement is included, so you don't have to enter any rates for it. We're then going to look at lunch. So this is lunch. Use save text, and we're going to say it's a buffet lunch, and we're going to serve it in the meeting room. And then finally for this request, they're looking for an LCD projector and screen. So we're going to say we want a projector, and then we also want a projector screen. So as you say, as you keep clicking those, they'll just keep reappearing, so you can select multiple things in one box. And again, that's included in the day delegate rate. Once we've completed all the sections, we hit validate and save. But just before we do that, I want to nip to the next tab. This tab will always be there, and it's just where you can show added value, additional savings to the client. So in this case, we're going to include bacon rolls, and these are normally £2 per person. So it's an extra additional saving of £40. Any additional comments you want to add in there? Once you've completed, you validate and save. It will tell you what the rates you are entering are, and then you press OK to continue. And the reason it does that is if by accident you put an extra 0 in there, you're going to notice when the rates are ridiculously high. So the next tab is requirements. Now these are split into different sections. So safety and security, as you can see, these ones are already completed, and that's because we've loaded them in our default manager, which I will be going through shortly. So you just check that they're actually correct. So there's no answer in this one, so what you can, again, you can save changes to Defaults Manager for next time. The next tab is the agent requirements. Now, these are questions that the agency needs answering each and every time, no matter who the client is. You'll also possibly see client requirements as another tab, and those are questions that are for this specific client. So, for example, if you were holding an event for Coca-Cola, they would only come to your property if you served Coca-Cola. So that's a question that they have to ask each and every time they do a new inquiry. Some of them, questions will be multiple choice, but you'll be able to select more than one option. So from here, we're going to click that we do virtual card. We're going to press control. We're going to take and select the ones that we offer. Now, this is one that's often asked a lot of the time, which is a brief outline of the cancellation policy. Don't in here put War and Peace. Don't copy it from your terms and conditions. Just make it easy to read. So, due to short lead charges. Make it easy for the client, because these questions are more than likely to be also answered and given the answers to the client as well, not just the agent. Yes. Yes. Once you've completed them, you hit Save Requirements, and then you come to Submit. You will not be able to submit the rates until you've completed both of these sections. And you must confirm that the VAT that they requested has been included in the rates, and then you hit Submit. Once you've submitted a response, you won't be able to make any further changes. If you do need to contact the agent, or you need to make some changes, or you want to offer them a slightly cheaper price, you would use the Communications tab. The Communications tab works as an audit trail and shows everything that's been going on in the booking. But it also works as an instant messenger, so you can ask a question here. And then you hit Submit. That will go directly to the agent. And once they respond, if you're not still in the system, you will also get an email alert to say that they've answered your question or they've sent you a communication. You can go into the system, into the booking and the Communications tab, and look at the response they've given you. If when you read the Introduction tab before you've done anything else, you realise that you haven't got available space, you can reject the booking. And you must provide a reason that you're rejecting the booking, so you're fully booked or something like that, and then hit Reject. If you are fully booked, or if you've got a room that holds just a couple of people less than what they're looking for or something like that, don't automatically reject it. We would suggest that you enter the Communications tab and you ask the client if they would consider flexible date, if the date was flexible before you responded, or if they would accept a room that was slightly too small or something like anything like that. But give yourself the best chance of being able to bid for the business. So the more questions you ask and the more you put yourself forward for alternatives, if you're not all fully available for what they've requested for, use the Communications tab. Okay, that's how you complete an RFM. I can quickly jump to RFP and just show you the slight difference. Okay, look at this one. The only difference is, really, the introduction tells you what the previous room nights were, what the projected room nights are for, and they usually do that by area of them rather than by hotel, which is why this is usually empty. Date it was issued, when they're looking for the response for, and the validity period of the RFP. And then if you look at the rates page, again, it will repeat that for you. They want commission, so we agree to pay commission, and we agree to pay commission at 10%. Because we're entering in pounds, and the tax rate will be 20%. You'll be able to see the previous rate you offered if they have that and they've shown it to you. And then you can put in an offered rate or a percentage off bar. You can only put one or the other. Most people prefer offered rates rather than percentage off bar, but it is available for you to enter. The offered rate is 98, and what the rack rate is, the start date and the end date, and then this is a mandatory field to say if the rate is LRA or not. You can also put in a room name and a GDS code if you have it, and you can also offer seasonal rates. So if you change the end date of this to January 31st, if you add another one, it'd start from the 1st of February, and we want it to the 31st of May, and the rate there would be 104, and again it would be an LRA rate. You would complete that for each room type, and you can also add other rooms if you think that would be suitable for this client. You can also add blackout dates, so you put the start and the end date of each blackout period, and you can also enter your GDS chain codes. Now for a lot of properties we do already hold that information, but you can update it and you can also add it if it's not available. Everything else within the booking remains exactly the same. Okay, if we go back to home, we'll move on to the next item, and that's contacts. So contact manager. So this will give you a list of all the contacts that are against this property. You'll be able to see what the main recipient is, who is an account manager, who's a non-recipient, and if they've got finance access or they're hidden from the agent. If someone's forgotten their login details and you've got yours, you click on Contact Manager and you just click here, Send Login Details, and that sent them an email with their login details. If somebody leaves, you click this one here and that deletes the response, deletes that contact. Now the system does allow you to delete yourself, but it will warn you that you're trying to delete yourself. But please note, if you delete yourself, it'll log you out and you won't be able to do anything else. If you want any more information on how to manage your contacts, you can open the how-to guide from here. So if we add a contact, there's some items that are mandatory. So all these details with the red asterisks are mandatory. Then you say what type of recipient you are. So if you're main recipient or non-recipient. If you are an account manager or a non-recipient, account manager means that you want to be copied in on every single response, but you're not necessarily the person that's going to respond. So if you're an account manager, you'll be copied in, but the agents will be expected to select somebody else as well as yourself. Non-recipient means that you'll still have access to these areas of the system, but the clients and the agents will know that you're not the right person to send it to. If you do not want your login details to be seen by the agent, as long as you're not a main recipient, you'll be able to hide yourself from the agent by ticking this box here. And there's also finance contact, so you can say if you're a finance contact for meetings and events or for transient accommodation. Now I'm just going to quickly open the group URL. And the reason I'm going to do that is the contact is slightly different if you're logging in at group level and if you are a contact for the group and for more than one property. So when you add a contact here, you will get a second tab, and that's called Group and Property Associations. And you create your first, you select the group. Now if you're the contact for all countries, you have to be the contact for all properties. So you'll be able to click here, which country you're the contact for, and then you'll be able to edit which hotels. Tick here, which properties, or you can be the contact for all properties. Okay. Contacts is a really, really important part of the system. It's where all your new inquiries will come to. So make sure they're correct, make sure they're kept up to date and you're constantly checking them. We all know that there's often comings and goings in hotels, different people doing different things and moving around. So you just need to make sure they're always kept up to date to make sure that you're receiving all the requests from our agents and also that our agents are getting responses from you. You start missing deadlines or missing opportunities, then you're less likely to be selected the next time they come to do a booking, because if you're not going to respond to them, they're going to think you don't want the business. So make sure your contacts are always correct. The next icon is Content Manager. Now this opens up into a lot more sections once we go into it, and this is where you load all your marketing information for your property. Viewing the demo Hotel 3 venue guide, so you would just say your property name venue guide. Clicking on that will allow you to view the venue guide. The venue guide is how you're perceived and how you're seen by our agents and their corporate clients. With so many client-facing portals out there now, I mean, one of our agents has currently 120 client portals where their clients are sending them inquiries and using our venue search to make their decisions. So they're looking at your content and your images to make sure it's all up to date and keep it fresh so that you're enticing that business. So the first tab is Property Profile. Now this is a really easy one, and you can see it was last updated 35 days ago. These bars here will tell you how completed it is and the last time it was updated. Try and keep that in the green section, because that means that you're keeping your content fresh, you're keeping it up to date. Even if nothing has changed, if you go into the section and hit save and publish, then it will show as being updated obviously within the green section of less than 30 days. So the first section is Property Profile. This is just who you are. So you say that you are a hotel, or you're a non-accommodation meeting venue, or a restaurant, or a bar. Now you can only be one of these things. So I'm a hotel that offers meeting rooms, bedrooms, restaurants, and bars. Once I've completed that section, I hit save and confirm, and then confirm and publish. Now you can just leave it there for this section. If you're just a hotel, that's fine. If you consider yourself a unique venue, you have 180 characters to say why you believe you're a unique venue. So you would enter that there. Once you've entered that there and hit save and confirm, the section underneath will also become available. And this is if you want to be more specific on what you are. So there's lots of different choices that you can select. And again, you hit save and confirm. See the difference? Like these ones are green and these ones are grey. Any section that's green means that at least part of it has been completed. And again, you can view the venue guide from here and how to complete Property Profile. So that's who you are. And then the next section is Pinpoint. So that's where you are. And that's just really quick and easy information for you to enter. Most of it will be completed for you, so you're just double checking that it's correct. So you're checking that you're in the right country. You're also checking that your property name and address is correct, and you're entering a main phone number, fax and email, and the website. Again, you hit save and confirm, and save and publish. So now our agents know what you are and where you are. They now want to know a little bit more about your property. So that's where we come on to Fast Start. So the first section is Property Overview. So it's just how many bedrooms you have, what your maximum capacity is for meetings and conferences, the number of meeting rooms you have, and the number of parking spaces. A little bit of property history. Very basic duty of care, which again will be followed up in Defaults Manager a little bit later. Basic leisure facilities you have, if you have a business centre, internet access and cards accepted, and then you get to the important bits. So the short description. When an agent uses our venue search and your property comes up in that search, this is the first information that they see. It's got to be short, it's got to be to the point, but it's got to sell your venue in its best light. If they like this, they read your short description, they think this is great, they want to look further into your property, they go to the venue guide, and this is where the long description appears. So this is where you can sell your property in a little bit more detail and give them a lot more information about it. then you get unique selling points. Having a professional listing with ABC Connection means that you get 5 unique selling points. Each of these appear on the online proposal for the client. So make sure you're really selling it for the type of business that you want to receive. And make sure they're relevant and make sure they're correct. We did have one the other day where a unique selling point was that they had complimentary car parking, as there is here. But car parking was chargeable, so it's not a unique selling point because it's not a fact. So make sure that if something changes, such as parking becomes chargeable, you make that change in your unique selling points and you check that you're not contradicting yourself throughout your profile. Next section we're going to look at is meetings and events. Now, meetings and events and accommodation were exactly the same. So this is a list of the meeting rooms that are loaded for your property. So you can see the meeting room, you see last it was updated, how complete it is. And this is the order that they appear in. See here that somebody updated those and you want to check that they're correct. You can move them so they appear in a certain order, so they'll automatically appear in alphabetical order. But if you want them to appear smallest to largest or largest to smallest, you can do that by moving them up or down. You can delete something and you can also edit it, or you can add a new meeting room. We're going to edit this one. And this is just the same as if you were adding a new one, but it would be blank. So main room, if you've got a sub room, what floor level it's on, dimensions of the properties, put them in meters and we'll automatically convert them into feet and inches just because we know that's used by both. You can also upload a floor plan. Do this because it is available on your venue guide and it is also available on the online proposal for the client. Then you put in the capacities. Make sure you fill them all in. Don't leave them blank. Because if you say you do 25 theatre and you do 15 theatre back projection, I know this is a bit of a silly thing because you wouldn't have back projection for such a small amount of people, but you get where I'm coming from. If they're looking for something back projection, your property's not going to come up. Or if you do 400 theatre style and you haven't bothered to put in how many you do in cabaret, if the client looks for 100 cabaret, which you would be able to accommodate, your property's not going to come up in the search. So these are really important things, so make sure you fill in all the capacities. There's some information on room lighting, telephone and power and sound systems, Wi-Fi, air conditioning, toilets, stage and bar, safety and security. And then you can provide some descriptions about the room. So the room description for a meeting, if there's any room obstructions, and you can change the room description slightly for if they're looking for something for private dining. And there's also lift information as well, so that if they're wanting to load a set, they're going to need the height, the width. They're also going to need to know what the max load capacity is. Once you've completed it, you hit save. If you've got 4 or 5 syndicate rooms that are exactly the same, if you click edit and then just change the room name, because everything else is exactly the same, you can then save as new. And that will create another room for you. So you'll have the original and the new one you've done. It just saves you having to put in the same information over and over again. Just bear with me, apologies for that. Do apologise for that, sorry. Okay, the next section, as I said, is accommodation. And it works exactly the same, but the questions that you answer are going to be about an accommodation room rather than a meeting room. And a lot of yes or no answers regarding items within the room. Again, you can save as new, so if all this is always the same for each room, but you've got different room names. And again, you can order them, because we have some hotels that rather than having room names such as a standard double, they have actual room names, and you can use that and then order them in the order you want to appear, because if they're not openly obvious which is your highest grade and lowest grade, you might want to put them in order that way. Okay. The next section is just a couple of questions on group travel. So if you accept group travel, the minimum numbers to qualify for a group cancellation policy, and also the same for if you offer coach operators business. I don't want to go into each and every section because a lot of them are very self-explanatory. So where we've gone into group travel, travel and parking is exactly the same. You just provide nearest airport, driving directions, parking information, nearest train station. You can also load your restaurant information, your bar information, and your sports and leisure. Now the reason for this is obviously because if people are coming for accommodation, they're going to want to know if they can eat in the restaurant or if they're going to have to go elsewhere for dinner and things like that. But as well as that, because our agents give their clients client-facing portals, you can entice alternative business as well. Because if you've got access to a venue search that gives them all the information they could possibly want, you'll find if they're looking for a weekend away or a bit of leisure business, they're going to use the same search. And although they're not necessarily sending inquiries to our agents, they're going to be using this to look for bookings for themselves personally. So make sure you load all the information. So for restaurants, it's opening times, what sort of meals you serve, the cuisine you serve. And the same for bars, for opening times and things like that. The final section I want to look at is awards and accolades. Now that's quite a new section. So, and it's just where you can load any awards or accolades that you have won. Just gives you name of award, description of award, and that's all you need to put in here. You will also be able to upload logos, but that will be all managed in our image manager, which we'll go through shortly. So you can load as many awards as you want, but make sure they're up to date. So if you might want to just put in, if you've won the same award for the last couple of years, you put it in once, put a description of the award and then the years that you've won it. Okay, so we're going to now move on to defaults manager. So all those questions that we were answering when we were going through the inquiry based on safety and security, wheelchair users, all the questions that they could possibly ask are here. So you go in and answer them. You don't have to answer them each and every time they're sent on a new inquiry. It happens more so with RFPs than meetings sometimes, that they'll ask all the questions just to make sure they're fully covered. Duty of care for and corporate manslaughter act is so very, very big now. It's a bit of the new in thing, I suppose, and also it's becoming more and more important because they've got to cover themselves. So the more questions they ask on their safety and security, we'll cover them to make sure that they know where their travellers are and also that they're sending them to a safe place. So as I said, 90% of the questions are yes and no questions. Some of them are free text, which require a little bit more information. But once you've completed them, they're completed. And as long as you check them to make sure nothing has changed on a regular basis, you won't need to answer them each and every time. This is where you load the policy documents that could possibly be requested. So this is your standard terms and conditions. Your privacy policy, reservation, environmental, equal opportunity, right down to lone traveller. You choose the file and select it from your desktop or your documents folder and then hit save and confirm when you've completed it. Again, Defaults Manager is made to make your life easier, to make responding to inquiries quicker, to make sure that everybody within your team is responding with the same information at the same standard. It's making sure that everything they respond to matches brand. So as well as making your life easier, it makes sure you're matching brand. And as I said, the last section on here is rates page text defaults. So the first time you go into this section, there will be none there, and what you will be able to do is add standard defaults. Now these are just ones that we've come up with here at ABC Connection, and they're just ones that fit 80% of the properties. Each property has their own additional information that makes them unique. So what you can do is add a new default. Okay, you select what it represents. If you select meeting or accommodation, these two sections won't be required. So you select meeting. Here, this is a title. So when you saw me use text defaults at the beginning of the call, you select the drop down, and we saw it had day delegate rate with equipment. So this is this little section that you see. So make sure that your titles are clear, to the point, and they're going to be easy for you to understand when you're responding to an inquiry. And then here is the text that's actually included in that rate. If you select other, this one will become available, and you get the options for equipment, catering or other. Equipment or other will jump you straight to this here, and you can enter the information. But if you select catering, you select what type of catering it's for. You can select all if it could be used in more than one option. Title there, what it includes. If one's incorrect, you can click here to delete the row. But please note, deleting all these rows and adding new rows, unless you hit save changes at the bottom, it will make no difference and it won't save what you've done. So make sure you're pressing save changes before you leave the page. Next in our sections is fast promotions. This is just where you can load promotions that are available for our agents to make your bookings. When they're looking at our venue searches, and they can see that you've got a promotion available, and they can see the details of that promotion. But please note, it doesn't just have to be promotions about meetings, although that's important that you do load all those and it entices the business. If you've got special offers for, theatre dinners and stays and stuff like that, you can also load those, because again, both our agents and their corporate clients will be looking at these. So we're going to edit one here so that you can see what information you need to enter. So you select the promotion type. As I said, you can do other promotions. The promotion name. Then you've got display from. So that's different from the start date. So you could display the promotion a month before it actually starts, so that they know it's coming. And especially with meetings and events, you could probably do it a little bit earlier than that, because although we do nowadays get a lot of short lead business, and we know all our agency partners get that, meetings and events usually have a slightly longer lead time. So you'll be able to display it so that, because they're already making bookings for that time. If it's an ongoing promotion that has no end time, you can just delete that and leave it blank, and it will continue forever. And you also get show date, and that's just a yes or no, and that's if you want to show the start and end date to the agent. You select distribution. So is it just for travel and accommodation, or is it for meetings and conference people as well? And then you enter the details of the promotion. This is just a free text box. Make sure you're clear and concise, but you contain enough information for them to be able to use it for a booking. You put in the price, and if that's a per person basis or per room. And you can put in any terms and conditions for this booking. And then you put, if you want to, you can provide a contact. So if you've got a specific person that needs to be contacted, you can put in their email address and phone number, or if there's a specific booking telephone number or reference code, you can put all those in here. You can also add in a promotional file if you want to, if you've got flyers that have been made for this or anything like that, and what the caption for the download is. Again, there's the option to save as new, and that's because if there's more than one promotion that are quite similar, you can just save as new and just change a little bit of information rather than doing it from start to finish. After Promotion Generator, we're going to move on to Image Manager. Now, it's important that you've completed all of Content Manager before you move on to Image Manager. So there's some information here that says what size the pictures should be at least and what format they should be in, and that's so that they look good both on the venue guide and also on the client's proposal. If you upload small images, it's not a problem. You will see a red advice bar at the top of each image that doesn't meet these requirements. And the reason for that is it just to tell you, it doesn't show as an advice bar to our agents or their clients. They just see your image, but it's just to you that it's not necessarily the best quality you could be using. The maximum file size is 10 meg. As a professional listing, you'll get 5 images for each section. So you've got 5 main property images. So these should be your outsides and the main. And the one with the star, which is the first one you put in, is the first image that's seen. So when they do a search and they look at your short description, the only image they see without looking further into your property on the venue search is the main property image. Make sure you're really selling it. Make sure it portrays your property in its best light. The next section is meeting rooms. Now you can only load images against specific meeting rooms. So you have to have loaded them within Content Manager to be able to upload the images. And again, you can have up to 5 images per property. Show them in different lights, different times of the day, different setups. So in both cabaret and theatre style, so they can get a real understanding if your property is going to be suitable and the room that you're offering is going to meet their requirements. The same for bedrooms. You can only load images against bedrooms that you've loaded. You can have 5 images of your restaurant, 5 of your bar, grounds and gardens. So you can see here this has got a red advice too small. So it won't show anywhere and it'll still show on all the proposals and stuff, but ideally it's too small to make your proposal look its best. Sports and leisure. And then finally awards and accolades. And as you'll see, as I didn't load any awards, you can't upload any images for awards because you haven't got any awards to load them against. And that would be the same for meeting rooms and bedrooms if you hadn't preloaded those in Content Manager. Obviously, awards and accolades are usually going to be logos that they can say that you can use on your marketing, and they're usually going to be a lot smaller, so we understand that and we've adjusted use of that. The next section is 360-degree virtual tours. They seem to be the in thing. We've added them. You can upload it in any file type that you need to. And you can either upload, you can give it a title, and you can either give it a URL or you can upload the file. And that just allows our clients to use 360-degree tours to view as well as your images. The last tab I want to look at is market intelligence. This is where you can see how well you're doing and what sort of business you're bringing in. Excuse me. So you select the date range you want to view, and then there's all these different report types. The report types contain information. We're not into making pretty graphs and pretty pictures. We just provide you with the information that you need to see how well you're doing, and then you can manipulate that as and how you need to. So you select the date range, you select the report you want to pull, and you click Create Report, and it will appear underneath. So you'll see the file name, the file size, when it was created, how long it took to build, which I know to us doesn't mean anything, but it was quite important to our developers that the reports, no matter how much information, were built quickly, so we put that timer in there, and how many rows are included. They'll just stay at the bottom until you no longer need them. So if we look at this one, for example, this one is one that our hotels find really useful, especially for trying to work out how much business they've had. So it'll have the hotel name, the number of bookings generated, the value of generated business. So this property had 53 bookings, but only responded to 21 of them. So they only responded to 312,000. The 24 confirmed bookings, confirmed booking value, rejected by property, rejected by client, lost value, properties that ones he didn't respond to. and the estimated revenue that you lost by not responding, and then the number of prospect bookings you've got at the moment that are still on a provisional basis. So you can use this information to make sure that your clients and people within your teams are completing the bookings that are there. You can also make sure they're updating the information at a timely manner and often. And you can also, if you are a group user, pull these reports, same reports at group level, so you can see overall how well you're doing. That brings me taking the system to an end. As I said, I know there's a lot to take in, so do please take a look at our website, which is www.theabcconnection.com/webinars. But you will also be able to go from here to Knowledge Base, click here to join one of our free webinars. So these are all the webinars we've got coming up. You pick the one you want to go to and you hit register. Because they're only a small section of the system, they're usually 10, 15, 20 minutes at the most, so they don't take a lot of time out of your day. So if you do have a chance, do take a look and go through those. Okay, I'm going to open the lines up to see if anybody's got any questions. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, do note that we will be able to contact our support team by contact them at any time, and they'll surely get back to you. Thank you for spending some time today with me, and I hope it has helped you in understanding ABC Connection a little bit more, and I'll speak to you all soon. Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.